Thank you, everyone. A very good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you're joining from. Welcome to yet another learning event from the ICF Bengaluru Charter Chapter. For those of you who are joining in yet, there is a question pasted in the text chat. I am a coach because leading up to the International Coaching Week. Before we jump into the session today by Ujjwal, and I know you're all eagerly waiting, give me just 2 minutes to introduce the couple of events we are planning during the International Coaching Week happening between 13th and 19th of May. We have two events with the very same intent and plan and agenda and approach. One is a virtual event on 13th. 18th is going to be our in-person event. The intent is to raise awareness about coaching. Our target audience will be all our HR, L&D, business leaders, either on the virtual event, if they can't be there in person in Bangalore. The location will be finalized around 5th, 6th May once we have a fairer idea of how many people are going to join us in person on the 18th. Of course, we will treat them with lovely breakfast. The idea is to help them understand what coaching is, what it can do for them, for their organizations, for their teams, and increase awareness and visibility for the Bengaluru chapter. I'll also paste a link that you can share with your HRLND folks. Just tag them into the link and encourage them to join either the in-person or the virtual event. We'll be very, very grateful. You can join too, saying that I'm a coach and I'd like to be a part of it. Feel free whether the in-person or virtual event meets your needs. With that bit of logistical things, there are CCUs that will be awarded for this session, requesting you all to ensure that your name on Zoom appears exactly the way you would like it on your CCU certificate. Capitalization, middle name, last name, ensure all of it is correctly listed. Yeah, and that's the name we'll be using to issue your certificates. Anybody who stays 80% of the duration for the session will get the CCUs. I do understand if you have to drop out of the session a little bit earlier because of prior commitments. We won't be able to issue you the CCU certificates, but since the session is being recorded, you can come back and listen to the recording whenever you are free. With that, let's jump right into the session. It is a pleasure to invite Ujjwal to deliver a wonderful session for us. I was so excited even talking to him. I've attended a few of his sessions earlier. I am friends of so many of his fans who keep saying, "Oh, I'm an Ujjwal student. I'm an Ujjwal student." So I do understand the excitement in the room. Ujjwal has been practicing coaching since 2012 after a major life-threatening incident which left him bedridden in 2010. He went through a journey of discovering his purpose. So much so, and that's when he was introduced to coaching and he fell in love with it. And coaching became the purpose of his life. In 2012, he founded United Minds. The tagline for the organization is "Let's create new possibilities." And he engages in 4 practices, which are coaching, conversations, culture, experience management. He's been a mentor. He's been an amazing coach. He dedicates about 3 hours a week to running coaching clinics to address queries around credentialing, sharpening coaching competencies, and kickstarting businesses. So if that is of interest, reach out to Ujjwal. He also consults organizations for creating measurable impact on ownership, engagement, performance, and productivity at various levels. He has successfully blended approaches like coaching, positive psychology, latest research in neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and systems thinking as he delivers these sessions. He believes system thinking is at the heart of everything he does, and we will definitely hear tones of that in our session today. Apart from being an MCC from ICF, he is also certified in Theory U from Presencing Institute of MIT. Theory U, as you all know, is one of the most profound theories for facilitating change in the social and human systems. His latest social impact initiative called Care Karta, I hope Ujjwal I'm pronouncing it correctly, certified conversational specialists who can offer conversational caregiving to create a positive mental outlook during and beyond COVID times. So such a wonderful initiative. He draws inspiration and is grateful to several people, and I won't read all their names, but some of them are David Bohm, Fritjof Capra, Daniel Goleman, Richard Davidson, Ram Ramnathan, Cindy Muthukarappan, David Rock, Marshall Goldsmith, Sir John Whitmore, and the list is long. With all this excitement about you, Ujjwal, I'm very happy to invite you to talk to us about the session, Coaching the Invisible and the Unspoken Dynamics. The title is so intriguing. To set a little bit of context for the participants here, many times we see that despite lots of effort from the coach and the client, we are not able to resolve certain issues for the client. There is this unexplainable inertia that blocks the client to take actions or go deep within themselves. When external tools, techniques, methods don't seem to be working, the answer could lie in systemic imbalance. And that is what Ujjwal is going to help us uncover. With that, over to you, Ujjwal. Thank you for being here for this exciting session.
Okay. Thank you, Shanti. And hi, everyone. Thank you for those kind words. And thank you for inviting me. I think Bangalore chapter is like a home to me. Know almost everybody here. So thank you, despite you knowing how I usually conduct the session, still you took that risk to join today. So deeply appreciate that. Okay. And we are talking about coaching around invisible dynamics, unspoken dynamics. So I would like to keep this session, with your permission, with a facilitative or conversational approach. Okay. So whenever I need to share anything, I will speak, but otherwise that, okay, we go two-way, we keep communicating with each other. In case if I ask you something, in case you want to ask me something, we'll not try and keep it everything to the end, but anything before that comes up for you, pops up for you, you can either mention in the chat box, or you could mention also, raise your hand, and you may not need to raise your voice, but you can raise your hand and happy to take your query if that is adding value to you in that moment. Yeah. So also, I have a small slide deck to share, which I find it to be, um, I would say that it is not useful in a direct interaction, but just so that I remain on the track and we try and get most out of the session. I have kept a small slide deck with me, which I will share as and when needed. We keep going back to sharing, unsharing. And also, there is a small video which I will share with you, and then throughout the session, we'll keep discussing. Okay. And with that deep acknowledgement for you for joining this conversation today, I would like to ask you that I'm just sharing the title of our program that we are discussing today, Coaching the Invisible and Unspoken Dynamics. So my first question to you would be that when you look at this word invisible and unspoken dynamics in coaching context, what exactly comes up for you? What are we referring to when you look at this invisible and unspoken aspect? I'll again stop the share and see what you want to share in the chat box. Okay. We are talking about energy shifts, emotions, okay, energy.
So unconscious.
Unconscious, yeah, Piyush, thank you. Transactions amongst family, active listening, okay. Anything else? Power plays, wow, Kannan, thank you. Yeah, absolutely, Jill, very well said. Yeah, Nunal, very true. Happy to meet you here, my friend. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, wonderful. So what you conveyed here, exactly all that forms a part of invisible and unspoken dynamics. Oh, I have my namesake also. Hi, Ujjwal. Nice to meet you. Okay, great. So second question would be, and then we dive right in. When you work with your clients, what are those situations where you have found when nothing seems to be working, client is also not aware. They are trying to take actions but not moving forward, or they are unable to take actions. They are not able to reflect. What are those situations as a coach? Although we talk about suspended judgment, etc., but what are those situations which keeps you awake in the night that, oh, why this client is not moving forward? So are there any elements which you think is bugging the client? But despite will, client is unable to move forward. Okay, environment. Mhm. Deep-rooted beliefs. Okay, they don't want to be coached. Yeah, Sushma, you are right. But here we are talking about when the client is willing but unable to move forward. Yeah, misalignment. Okay. Mhm. So the same quest, limiting beliefs. Yeah, Supriya. Mhm. Absolutely. The web thing, they want ready-made answers from the coach. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm able to read all the references here. Great. Yes, Deepa, agree with that fear of confronting the unknown as well. Okay. So this was the quest that I was on. For as Shanti has already mentioned, I'm a practicing coach since last 12 years now. And I was always wondering because as coaching is my life purpose, and also there is a fear that my house runs on the income of coaching mostly. So if client is successful, who will get this course on Theory U, which all of you would have done, but in case you haven't, it runs on this platform edX, edx.org and presencing.org, PRESEN. Now they call it U School of Transformation. Okay, Theory U, some of you must have been certified already.
Ujjwal,
Yes.
do you mind repeating yourself for the last
Yes.
minute? That it
Yeah,
seems there
I
was a
will.
slight audio issue. Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. Yeah, sure. I'll repeat. So I was saying that when I was looking for that why things don't seem to be working for the client despite his or her will, despite they trying to take actions, why they are not able to, and even if they take actions, why things don't get resolved for them. Okay. So I got into with you, but it has nothing to do with me. It was at MIT. They studied systemic change, how to facilitate that for more than 20 years. And in that, they came out with a beautiful model, which is Theory U. So you can use of transformation for coaches and change facilitators across the world between October to December or September to November, something
Ujjwal, your
like that. The
voice is
course is
going
free.
in and
In
out.
case, oh, okay. Let me try. Yeah, is this better?
It is better.
Is this better?
Yes, Ujjwal, we are able to hear you clearly.
Oh, okay, great, wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, most welcome. Okay, so yeah, so I hope you heard me up to Theory U. So Theory U, they speak about how to facilitate that systemic change. That is a time systems dynamics, systems thinking. What Peter Senge, Otto Scharmer, and Edgar Schein, all of them talk about. And from there, they say that if this change is not happening, probably three voices are closing down the system, which is voice of fear, voice of cynicism, and voice of purpose. that was an interesting model, but our purpose is not to learn about theory U, but I can definitely refer that and recommend that in case you haven't done. As a coach, it is extremely powerful to take that course. If you want a verified certificate, I think it is about some $99 or something. That was there last year. Okay. So I said that, okay, so there is something known as system that I came across for the first time. Okay. So with that, and then it took me deep inside. From my angle, it is deep, but I think I have just scratched the surface of systems dynamics. And then systemic coaching, we'll talk about it. So again, if I may invite your wisdom here, just allow me to share the screen once again, where we can talk about these three things: system, systemic, and systemic coaching. So in case if I may ask you to share first about system, what do you understand a system consists of? And then we go to systemic and systemic coaching. So what do you understand by a system? Okay, interconnected parts, interconnected of things. Okay. Independent of set of people and their interactions. Wonderful. System is an ecosystem. Wow. Okay, great. So a system is invisible. We all are a part of, and the system is known as, it is there even before we were there. It will be there before, after us as well. Yeah, Supriya, absolutely. System prevents chaos. Except my in-laws come to our place, rest everything system seems to be functioning properly. But otherwise, I don't know, system malfunctions, at least in my case. Okay, so yes, Srinivas, acknowledge that. Kalyan, are you able to hear me now? Am I audible, Shanti?
Yes,
We
you are.
can hear you.
Mostly at times there's a small blip, but we can overall we can understand what you're
Okay,
saying.
okay, yeah, sure, sure. Okay, so a system is invisible and system has its own rules. Okay, so you talk about system, which is family system, organizational system, social system, okay, country as a system. And if you go further, world as a system, cosmos as a system, universe as a system, right? So this system is there before us and it will be there after us. Now, this system follows certain rules. And as Supriya said, system does not know individuals. And that is why sometimes when you try to administer different tools, things still don't work. Even after applying psychometric, even after applying T groups, even after applying various other things, non-appreciative inquiry-based workshops, etc., still sometimes things don't work. It does not demean any of the instruments as coaches or as learning and OD facilitators that we might be using. They are all very, very effective, but system, it does not work on the system. It works on the players of the system. So if you understand that how a system operates, and that's what our aim is today, if you have a basic understanding of how a system operates, then we can have a systemic view. And the second word on that slide was systemic. So systemic is how do I understand system dynamics and interconnections and interdependencies of a system so that I can have a systemic view. For example, with all the medical systems are to be respected, but sometimes, it happens that when I go to a doctor understands my symptoms, and based on that, they ask me to do some test, and the medicines administered. But sometimes those medicines don't work. As well as where you go to Ayurveda talks about system, yeah, balance of three doshas, yeah, vata, pitta, kapha, and stuff like that. So when those things are to be balanced systemically, maybe solution will take some time, but it will be there. So like that, I'm just giving an example with full respect for the allopathic system of medicine, the systemic approach, which means that I'm taking a holistic view. And most importantly, what we do as a coach is to go beyond what is apparent, to go beyond that is visible, and listen to what is not being said. So, like some of you have mentioned earlier about energy shift, it's non-verbal expression, tonality. And we'll talk further as we go that in systemic coaching, we place a lot of emphasis on what is not being said, but it is felt. Yeah. So we'll get there in a while, but just wanted to check this word systemic coaching. Now it is in our realm, right? It's about coaching. So when you talk about systemic coaching, there are very, very different meanings, different stuff. So what do we come together on a common understanding of systemic coaching? If I can hear from you in the chat box, or you can unmute and speak. Yeah, Piyush, absolutely. Coaching the system, not its parts. Whole being, constituents of the system, interdependencies. Okay, coaching the interconnections. Wow. Okay, relationship between the parts. Wow, Aparna, very nice. Yes, so systemic coaching is about, yes, Binita, absolutely. So those assumptions have to be tested, and it has to be, I would just suggest that they are not sync with the reality, or they are not in sync with the system, then also it is creating a bit of a challenge. Yeah, coach the person, not the problem. Yeah, here we say coach the system, not only the person. Yeah. So, okay, great. Now, the place that we are going right in is what we are going to talk about today. So, systemic coaching, as you have rightly mentioned, how do I coach the aspects of the system which are visible, but also coach the aspects which are invisible? Now, in team coaching, you talk about, or one-on-one coaching also, when you talk about systemic, say a question would be that client says that, okay, so this is, I want to get promotion. Okay, so if once you get promotion, where it will impact, how it will change your life. Yeah, or we are talking about that who else would be benefited with the insights that you have got today. These are all systemic questions. You're asking about purpose of life, etc. These are systemic questions. Team coaching, entire methodology is there, systemic team coaching, where you are not only coaching the team, but also the system that they are a part of. Yeah. But today we are going to focus on the systemic aspect, which is less talked about, which is the constellation-based systemic coaching. Okay, so in constellation, you are using some objects, which could be live people or some objects, to coach the invisible dynamics, which means that where there is a subconscious map, how can I bring that map on the table using some objects, either people or things, and make it visible? So when you are using constellation-based approach to systemic coaching, we are talking about stance, which we are going to go into greater details today. But there are systemic principles also that we will get introduced to. And practices is something in this forum we won't be able to cover, but maybe some other day. I'm happy to give a demonstration of constellation-based coaching also when we have a couple of hours or slightly more with us. Okay, so if I can just stop the screen share and double click on this word stance, I can come to you and check what is your experience about constellations and what is that you want to add to this discussion about constellation-based systemic coaching. Okay. Anyone has read about it, done something in constellations, studied constellations? Please share. Okay. So please share as we move forward. Now, how did I got across to constellations? Heard the word. Okay, Kannan. Yeah. Okay. Yes, absolutely, Kannan. So what has happened is that when I was studying that systemic aspect, unspoken, invisible dynamics, uh, I came across a book by the same name called Invisible Dynamics. I'll share some book references and article references or maybe website in the end. So I came across this book called Invisible Dynamics by Klaus Horn. Okay, so I'll just quickly mention here. And from there on, studied Bert Hellinger. Okay, Bert Hellinger, who is to be credited with making this, and Kannan is right, it was initially used in therapy, but now it is used in coaching also extensively. So Bert Hellinger was a German missionary. He was in Africa working with tribes, and over there he found that there are several solutions which these tribes, which are whom we consider as or they consider as illiterate, but they used to rely on systemic wisdom, and then they used to resolve a lot of challenges. Like, for example, somebody said that if you want to say, if you want to change the course of people, then just see where they have come from, how they have arrived before changing the course. Changing people is not all that easy. Then he got fascinated with it and he started doing deep research. And from there, the family constellation, that part came up. And from there, it was being used in therapy. Okay. And from there, we are restricting ourselves to coaching. But Bert Hellinger is the name which you can learn more about. And he came up with how invisible dynamics work, how systemic things work, and then how do you bring that what is there unconscious, how you bring that wisdom on the table, you make it conscious. How do you make unknown known so that you can work around it? It's like this: if I have a disease, but unless it is diagnosed, how it can be, how we can cure it. So that was something which is amazing. And Germany, as most of you would know, is known for such things like Gestalt came from there. Yeah. So several. So Germany is known for such kind of stuff which otherwise we don't find it elsewhere. But they are also quite discreet. They are also quite this thing. So these things have to be brought out and learned upon. Okay. So here, coming back to systemic stance. So in constellation, we understand the inner orientation of a coach. So the word stance. So what in IPL is going on, hashtag IPL. So what is the stance? The word stance, what does it
Ella, we'll
convey?
eat at 7:30.
Somebody needs to be on mute. I'm not sure who. If you're not speaking, requesting you to be on mute. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. So the word stance. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So like that, as a coach, to be able to unravel or uncover or discover hidden aspects of a system, even if you don't do constellation, that's fine. But if you want to come out, yeah, stance is basically a position, Kenneth. So I take a position is known as stance, right? So in cricket, the moment the way the position that they take for batting is known as stance. So like that, what is my inner orientation? So that is my core purpose to share with you, and we all learn together. What are some of those inner orientations that we need to develop as a coach? We all have, but further sharpen it or enhance it in a way that automatically invisible dynamics you can start seeing. It's like infrared. And I would like to also give this analogy that those of you who are interested in astronomy, okay, or space science, so there are two telescopes which are very famous. Would anyone like to remember which of one of those two or both the telescopes? Oh, wonderful. Yes. So Hubble, we it's somewhere closer to, because we in Bangalore we have Hubble. Over there we are talking about Hubble. Okay, so one is Hubble Space Telescope, and another is James Webb Space. Yeah, it is known as JWST. So Hubble scans the visible universe, where this side of the sun, the visible universe, where JWST, James Webb Space Telescope, is placed behind the sun to scan the dark universe, because over there light creates disruption. In Ladakh in India, yeah, there is a village called Hanle, somewhere ahead of Leh, where it is known as first dark village of India, when it is known as a best place for stargazing. So sometimes when client speaks or coach speaks in the name of paraphrasing a lot, we don't know, but it is creating a hindrance in trying to find out what's beyond. So let me share some of there are some 6, 7 points which I'll talk to you about. And that is the whole point around how, even before you do constellations program or a course, but how do we develop that inner stance, inner orientation that will start revealing the invisible and unspoken dynamics. So can I go ahead and share? So, and then we look at the principles as well. So this is the inner orientation of a systemic coach. So first one, it talks about lean out, not in. Just wanted to check, is that okay if I stop the share and again reshare, or I just remain like this and keep talking to you? Is it okay that each point we see, we discuss, and again come back to the screen sharing? Okay, all right. So I can keep the share on. Okay, all right. No problem. Maybe Shanti, in case if there is any chat that I might be missing because of the screen is on, you can let me know. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so lean out, not in. It really hit me when Bert Hellinger quote in one of his books, he mentioned that do not have any intention. If you want to help the client, do not have any intention, especially to help. And it really hit me hard. I said, I am empathetic. The reason I want to join the coaching course, why I want to work is I want to help others. And when I read, he clarified that how the intention of helping is coming in the way. Because the moment I want to help, I have my frame. So in this lean out, not in, they say that just remain the witness. How do you look at a scenario where you lean out, not in? Help client lean inwards themselves, but you don't lean in. And when you lean in, you're bringing your system as intrusion. Just help client look at, and you watch from the stadium. Don't go and play. So this is one of the difficult aspects for a coach, because by our own default orientation of the brain is to create that attachment. Because the moment you feel for the client, the moment we become empathetic, we get attached. Because emotions create that attachment, and then we need to suspend that attachment. We go to detachment. It's bit of a work, but not impossible. So for now, just stay with this lean out but not in. So how do you keep raising your own self-awareness as a coach, that am I leaning in? How can I lean out so that it's like this, that as a surgeon, if I'm performing a surgery, then I have to lean out. I can't think that, okay, if I place a cut, there will be blood flow, there will be bleeding, there will be injury. I just have to lean out, zoom out, so that I can support. So the help word itself is hugely, kind of, they don't appreciate that word in systemic work. Second, include everything. So they say that as a coach, when we have our own beliefs, our own values, our own emotions getting processed with the client, what happens is that we automatically start filtering a few things, or we ask some questions to the client. Say client talks about conflict, we ask questions that how do you want to resolve it? Rather than going to the how, help them help, I am again using the word in a very regular parlance, not as a systemic coach, but help them uncover those conflicts. Help them talk about it, because the conflict has deep impact, what Jill talked about traumas in that sense. So they say that everything and everyone is included all the time. So conflicts, issues, dysfunctions, everything is looked at as an information, because it says that there is some systemic imbalance somewhere, and that needs to be worked upon later. So the moment systemic balance is restored, things will start miraculously changing. And I have seen in my work as a constellation-based systemic coach, I mean, it's beyond cognition. Very difficult to put 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, but suddenly things start changing. And they call this, the third point I am now linking, is that let your body speak. They place a lot of importance on how body work, as we call it, somatic work, as we call it. So the sensation that I'm having in my body is leaning forward, leaning back. I'm facing, my face is tight or my face is normal. All that tells a story because they place a lot of emphasis on body intelligence. Because they say that your body knows much more than you. Also, on this, just digressing a little bit, in case you haven't, I would strongly recommend you to use this book, read this book, When Your Body Says No, by Dr. Gabor Mate, M-A-T-E, Gabor Mate. Yeah. So how do you understand? And you don't have to. Yeah, Binita, since I'm in a screen share mode, it might be difficult to type the name of the book, but it is When Your Body Says No by Dr. Gabor, Gabor Mate, Mate. Okay. And he has done a lot of work in trauma-based healing. Yeah. So, and it's again, his work is quite systemic. So body, and they place a lot of importance of felt sense. So what you are not thinking, but what are you feeling? And that feeling has a lot of information. And in systemic work, they place equal weightage to three type of senses. One is my brain, one is my heart, and one is my gut. So all that where you are feeling around these areas has equal importance. Yeah. Next one, work beyond the story. So what client, as I was saying in the beginning, because stories are expressed, but stories also create a hindrance to go beyond, because stories are mostly interpretations, not the direct uh, reporting of the event, because the feelings are there. So how to work beyond the story? And they place a lot of importance to this question. The moment somebody has shared the story, you can pick up the key words from there. What you have felt, those are important words. And it's not judgment, but what you viscerally peak and feel like sharing, you can say that when you're hearing this back, how are you feeling? What are the emotions that is coming up for you? After you shared this story, what do you feel in your body? So these kind of questions. And then they say that be useful to be helpful. Don't be helpful, but be useful. Also, when client is sharing, if you are feeling any sensations in your own body, you can share that when you shared this thing, I started feeling tightness in my chest. Just share. So you can be useful rather than helpful is what they mention. And then we bring our own system also into place. So they say that explore your own tail feathers, which means that be aware the system that you are a part of. For example, if I'm working with a client who is discussing the impact of the layoff, and if I was laid off someday in my career, then my own systemic forces will come into play, and I try to balance that. What happened to me, I could not balance, but I try and balance this client system. So if I'm aware that those experiences are coming up for me, how do I prevent that impact on my coaching with the client? Yeah. And then most important part where we'll spend some more time is the remember the family system. We all are originated from the family system. Our family system, where our parents, their parents, our forefathers, the entire system has an impact what we do today and what we are going to do tomorrow. So there are some natural orders that Bert Hellinger has this thing and has shared situations in which it has proven right. Okay, but before we go to systemic principle, I would like to talk about system and its needs. Okay, so just consider that system believes in balancing. So that is why they say that everything and everyone needs to be included. And when you talk about everything and everyone to be included, what are we talking about? Because if I say, for example, yesterday, my flight was delayed by quite some time, and then they offered that would because the flight is delayed, would you like to have this food packet, etc. I was a bit angry. I forgot that I'm a systemic coach, because these airlines can make you anything else but not what you are or what you do. So I said, no, I don't want anything. I mean, just take the flight off on time. I don't want anything else. Okay, and then it was systemic imbalance, right? I excluded them. They came to me, but I excluded them. And you know what? At the appointed time, there was another announcement that flight is further delayed by 1 hour. Okay, and when I went to the cafeteria, because there were 2 or 3 flights got delayed at the same time, so whatever items that I wanted, they were all exhausted. They said there's a non-veg if you want, or whatever veg item was there. I was not interested in having it. Finally, I saw that guy with that, airlines food packet. So I said, I'm on this flight. My flight got delayed. Can I take one? Because yesterday only I didn't take my usual, the food that I carry with me. So what I excluded had to be included. And then and I have no idea how these things connects. But the moment I said that, I said thank you to that person. And I also apologized that when you came earlier, I was a bit upset, so I didn't take it. I said no. I mean, ensure that flight takes off on time. All these things are okay. I'm sorry. And within 10 minutes, they said that our flight, which was 1 hour, they announced that 1 hour it will take more. They said our flight is landing in another 25 minutes. I don't know how that happened. I have no idea. But what I have learned in my experience, whatever little that I have in systemic coaching and constellation, that less of this, more of phenomenology that works. Okay, what is phenomenology? That you be in the moment and experience that moment, how painful or how joyful it is, and that's it. Do not attach your emotions to it, and just go on what are you feeling in that moment, but that's it. Don't do anything about it, because what happens is when we feel overjoyed, we want to continue with it, we want to repeat, and when we feel sad, upset, angry, frustrated, we want to get out of it. There is nothing in trying. But if it is not happening, then there's a systemic thing. So felt experience is what they really recommend. And based on that, so system balances itself no matter what. Number one. Number two, Remember these three needs of the system, which has tremendously helped me in my relationship with myself, relationship with others, and also work as a coach. So what are those three needs? The first need of the system is to ensure safety for every member of the system. So if somebody is feeling unsafe, system will try and restore safety. Second is need for belongingness. That is why Bert said, everything and everyone needs to be included. So the moment that belongingness is compromised, like that guy came to me, he was doing his job. He came back with a food packet and I refused. So his belongingness was, so he got excluded. So the belongingness is a major, major factor in systemic need. And third is the need for respect, esteem, and dignity. So simple, everything and everyone in the system deserves respect, dignified treatment, and recognition in that sense. When that is compromised, system will try and restore the balance, and you have to honor it in some way or compensate in some way, both ways. It's simple reward and punishment rule by the system. Okay, so these are the three needs of a system, and just consider that system will balance everything and everyone. So if we have done some imbalance, system will ensure that we have to either balance it or pay for it. Okay, so I see that there are some questions in the chat box, which I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
But just to give you a short video, share with you a short video, a different experience of 2.5 minutes. Shall we look at that and then address the questions which are there? Shanti, is that okay?
Absolutely fine.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Just allow me a moment while I pull up that video. Okay, this time I have not forgotten to share the sound.
Business Constellations offer executive coaching, leadership development and facilitated workshop interventions. When a system has been suffering from repeating patterns, stuckness or unexplained difficult behaviours, then you're almost certainly dealing with an issue which has its roots in the system. There are many understandings of systems and system dynamics, but this one concerns itself with the flow of leadership and organisational vitality. We might call this organisational health, which means the system is aligned with the underpinning principles that sustain and nourish them. A constellation is an event and creates a revised and realigned inner map at an embodied level, and from which benefits can unfold over time. When leaders and coaches can stand in a map that embodies the truth of what is, when they simply acknowledge what is, they can then begin to move with greater clarity to what could be.
Okay, thanks for watching. Okay, let me look at questions if they are there.
Yeah. Binita, do you want to unmute and ask your questions?
Okay, so you say that balance, the system balances itself, and there would be inclusion for all, right? But in a corporate system, or even in a social system or a political system, this is, I feel, pretty much a misnomer, because there are power structures, and power structures are built on uh, ensuring that there is no equity. So, isn't that kind of a oxymoron that you have a system which is balanced?
Yeah, Benita. So that's precisely what we are on the same page. So some people who are trying to imbalance the system say equality, dignity will be there for all, but some people have disbalanced it, right? So system will try and restore the balance. Now what happens is, because of the power structure, you have said it so right, because of the power structure, they will try and ensure, they will try to create a system within a system where people are not given their due, people are not respected. Like in credit hungry bosses will get the work done from the team, but not let the credit pass on to them. So here is what I have learned. I have checked with some of the specialists who work in this area for many years. They said that sooner or later, this lifetime or the next lifetime, system will balance itself. And when the system will balance itself, all those people who have created that imbalance will pay, will suffer. Now, that is why if you look at this work, yeah, absolutely, Kannan, it is exactly like that karma principle. So when I mention about Dr. Gabor Mate, okay, in his book, When Your Body Says No, he works on transgenerational traumas. So, you know, of course, I'm still in the learning process, but someday I would like to reach there where they say that whatever, say somebody, say a special child is born. Now, no fault of that child, or somebody is suffering. Okay, there's a brain stroke and somebody is wheelchair bound. Now, no fault of theirs. Like one of our neighbor's daughter was hit by a speeding bike. She was high 17 feet in the air, fell down. She's in coma since last 60 days. 13, 14 surgeries have happened with no fault of hers. Now the entire family is saying, why that? We have done so much of worshipping, and we are very kind people. We haven't done anything wrong of anyone. Why this has happened to our child? The answer is, it's not in this lifetime. Something which is of previous systemic imbalance is being balanced here. So it's bit of a abstract and bit of a misfitting into logical aspect kind of a stuff. But my purpose of opening this discussion is to invite everyone to look at, when nothing seems to be fitting in the cognitive structure, is there something which is beyond? So that I would like to invite you to go on that self-inquiry or self-directed journey. I can share some resources. And of course, whatever little that I know in this field, that's why I find it so fascinating. Oh my God. So suddenly, whatever we talk about transgenerational traumas, or, there is this gentleman called Dr. Jayant Athavale. Yeah, absolutely, Piyush. You said it. So there is one spiritual science research foundation. Okay, long name I'm not typing. You can just look at SSRF Goa. Dr. Jayant Athavale is a medical doctor. Now he's in his 90s probably, or late 80s. He's a medical doctor. He was serving in the UK with NHS, and then he learned this thing, clinical hypnosis over there, and eventually he came back to India and started healing people through clinical hypnosis, past life regression, etc., etc. But still, some of his patients were not able to get a breakthrough. All that in his possible tools that he has applied, but was not happening. Nothing was changing. And when those patients went on pilgrimage, or some of them, they did their, this, we offer gratitude to our forefathers, right? To Pitru Tarpan or Shrad and all that. Maybe I hope Jill is able to kind of relate with it, with basically offering gratitude to our forefathers, to some rituals. And those people started curing themselves without any help. So from there, Dr. Jayant Athavale brought out this whole initiative that let's study scientifically. So in Goa, there is this Spiritual Science Research Foundation where they study all of these. That how does it work? Yes, Binita, you are right. So, but how it is proven scientifically is what the research they are conducting on. So maybe you can look at the website and see if something is interesting for you. Yeah. So in family system, now so probably what you asked that how do you explain? So how do you explain to a corporate client? So here is the thing. The more you try to explain, the more imbalance gets created. Hence, in constellation, yes, Kalyan, right. So in constellation, you offer constellation-based coaching and help them realize themselves. And I was not thinking that, boss, it is not fitting. But when I started doing some work, constellation-based coaching, and it is not ICF method of coaching, okay? There is no markers and competencies and stuff like that. But ICF's core competencies are one of the most powerfully designed life competencies, I would say. So that helps you, in addition to that inner stance, inner orientation of a coach, some of the points that I have mentioned. And viscerally things start happening. So you don't have to explain, they have to experience, and things will start getting sorted out. Some of the book references, whatever I'm sharing, you don't need to believe, but if you want to experience, learn more, I would share some of the references. You can also look up for some work online and then see if, and again, I would say that if you meant to be a systemic coach or a constellation based coach, you will be, right? Because system wants you to be that. Okay. So with that, I can take you to, yeah, yeah. So that's precisely is the work, Benita. That when first let client tell you that nothing seems to be working, can you do something? And then you say that, okay, when nothing seems to be working, like even the best of the doctors also in the end, they say that, can you ask all of your relatives to pray for this patient? We have done everything that we can. Nothing seems to be working. And sometimes prayers work. It works all the time, but sometimes you feel that, okay, nothing worked, but prayer worked. Yeah. So with corporates, if they are serious enough to work on it, which is an issue, I would like to admit that 9 out of 10 corporates only wants to do tick mark based activity. They want to get some intervention done, and nobody is willing to seriously work on the curative or remedial aspect of it. So if somebody is willing, this might work out to be the best solution. Yeah. But till then, we continue with what we have. So let me share these systemic principles, which really comes across as power principles from the family systems, but also in of organization is also a part of the system. So the same principle work with them as well. Yeah. So again, getting back to the boring slide. So but I hope it is less boring than I am. So just allow me a moment. Yeah. So these are the organizing principles of a system. And I'm just sharing with you in a quick this thing, because I'm also mindful of the time. So principle of time suggests that people who have come before you get higher respect and dignity. So if I'm keeping the context very tight to the organizational context, so if somebody, so whosoever has done before, whosoever has done something before you needs to be acknowledged and they deserve to be respected. So somebody joined an organization and in a short time they have left, and people say that, oh, we took this person, didn't do anything, so we had to ask him to go. So you start. So principle of time says that, including, it's an interesting thing, I'm just evoking your curiosity, how I got evoked with curiosity, is this, that even people date of joining in an organization has a precedence. So they deserve respect from the person who has joined after you. So if somebody has joined before you and you have joined after, they deserve a respect. Okay. So principle of time. There is also something known as principle of place, which means that every person, every position, every role has a place in the system, and that needs to be dignified. And when you say dignified, if, say, a junior most person in an organization, I'm treating them unfairly, then I'm compromising their place, and system will try and balance itself. If you don't pay them attention, system will do something that you have to pay attention to them. For example, unions and all that stuff happens when the principle of place is compromised. And also you can study something, you can search for the internet, something where they talk about systemic seat ejectors syndrome. Okay, what is systemic seat ejector syndrome? So which means that somebody sat in that particular position and there was a painful exit, and when the exit was painful, the person left in short time, terminated, or he or she left on their own, and there was a painful exit. Till the time you don't acknowledge or restore dignity for that person who was sitting on that chair, system will not let the successor do their job properly. There will be something or the other. That's why if you look at your organizational experience, there are some positions, there are frequent churn that happen. Nobody is able to sustain in that position for a long time, particular position for a long time, because principle of place is compromised. And then principle of exchange. Principle of exchange says, and I was intrigued a lot. It says that if I have given something to the other person, he or she need to pay me back. Otherwise, that person is indebted, and system will try and ensure that I get back what I have given. So if I have given time, if I have given energy, if I have given money, if I have contributed in any way, but that needs to be paid back. If someone, so even they are saying that if you are giving something to someone they cannot pay back, then be more restrictive and see that if they are even paying you with the gratitude, their time, anything is fine, but otherwise they will suffer because you have created systemic imbalance for them and they are unable to pay back. System will ensure that they pay back to you either in this lifetime or the next lifetime. Nothing will make sense, probably, what I'm saying. I'm just sharing the organizing principles of the system. So if you want to learn more about it, you go to Bert Hellinger's family constellations website, and over there, these natural it is listed as natural ordering forces of a system, and the detailed description is given. So they have two exceptions. Now, if I come bring it back to the family, so only mother has a privilege, because what mother gives, she is not indebted. Mother mother need not. So mother is a representation of system, because from we all have come from our mother. So mother, whatever she gives, we need not to pay back. But yes, respect, dignity for sure. And secondly, between husband and wife, they say that the more you make that imbalance, so if I love my wife, system will ensure that she will love me back. And if she is not loving back, in some or the other way, she will suffer. If I don't do that, I will suffer. So that's also a systemic balance or exchange I would like to mention to you. So I'll just take a pause very quickly and see what is there in case you want to share or ask anything. Otherwise, one last very important topic for about next 4 or 5 minutes is that again what hit me, what Bert Hellinger wrote is that without guilt, there is no growth. I couldn't believe it. And then double click, learned, and found it fascinating. So I would like to talk to you about that. But before that, is there anything that you would like to share or ask?
Okay, Naval, you've put a question. It's come to me directly. Do you want to unmute and ask? If you want me to read, I could do that too. I'm going to read Naval's question. But while this imbalance is getting ironed out, what about the emotional journey in between or in transient stage?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Naval. I can respond it by saying that the moment systemic balance will start getting restored, even if it is not done fully, the emotional restoration will start happening. So the moment I am in sync with the systemic principles, or I am attempting in that direction, my inner, because the body's wisdom is guiding me in that right direction. So my emotional climate will start becoming better. Oh yes, Benita, absolutely. That was my question as well, because I work with corporates and they all talk about ROI and measurable impact and stuff like that. Yes, absolutely. But only thing is they have to be willing, and a lot of orientation needs to, that orientation work needs to happen with the team or the stakeholders that you are working with. How is will results will speak for itself. For example, they say that we have a collaboration issue. Okay, we have dysfunctions of the team issue. So they same pretty much same as we see with others, right? So how do you do that? So you run an assessment, and then you do pre and post that will happen, or you look at engagement scores in Great Place to Work, trust scores, or if you're working on a say attrition. So when there is a systemic imbalance, a lot of attrition will be there. So whatever cognitive measure that we want to keep, that same measure can be applied here also. Only thing which I have seen in my this thing, the speed at which or the duration in which they, like it is like a biryani, Hyderabadi biryani. I haven't been to Hyderabad for a long time. That's why Supriya is also unhappy with me. But it's like biryani will take a longer time. But if what if the client says that no, give me Maggie 2 minutes noodles? So if the need is biryani and I'm trying to satisfy it with Maggie 2 minutes noodles, that is where the whole thing. So only thing where organizations need to have some patience and time, things will definitely start showing up measurably. So I always tell them that how do you go from miserable to measurable? Yeah.
Sushma has a question.
Yes, Shushma.
Hi, Ujjwal. Very interesting. This is the first time I've been exposed to this. And
Yeah.
I'm actually hesitating to even ask my question because I almost feel like पूरी रामायण हो गई और फिर पूछ रहे राम कौन है.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask, see, okay, so when we do regular coaching, I'm sort of familiar with that. But if I'm doing systemic coaching, like,
Mhm.
is it like one-on-one or do you do group coaching or what type of questions are you going to ask them? Because these concepts of this thing of time and previous birth and all is like so alien to
Yeah.
the real world today, right? I
Yeah.
mean, maybe some of us believe in it, but how, I mean, I'm still trying to visualize how would you go about a coaching assignment where you're seeing this? Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, sure. Definitely. I have just mentioned 3, 4 names also. You can kind of learn more. So how does that work, Sushma, in practice is that in one-on-one, you can say client wants to bring out that, I have a relationship issue and I'm not going along well with my father, with my wife, with my son, anyone. So, so then you simply ask them that, okay, so pick up any everyday object. I have done that using, a comb or a water bottle or a mobile phone, any cigarette case, any 4, 5 objects. So there are say 4 people involved, including this person five. So 5 objects will be there. So I say that, okay, pick up any object you consider as you would like to objectify as your father, place it on the table. So the way they pick up, how much height from there they put it on the table, all that matters. Then they pick up wife, then they pick up son, and then said, now pick up yourself and place it. So where they place it, the distance between each object and the way they have to also mark a face. So if it is like this as an object, so I say that this is the face. So the way they are facing each other, the way they are looking away from each other, everything is an information. You just have to simply ask those questions.
Okay.
You can look up on YouTube some demo of systemic constellation based coaching. There are some amazing demos are there, and which will talk about how do you. So it was there in my map. So I put it like this strongly. I put it softly. Everything is an information.
Wow.
You simply coach on that.
Okay. Great. Thanks a lot. That answered my question. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
most
I'll
welcome.
research
Yeah,
more. Thanks.
yeah, sure, absolutely. Great.
Um,
Okay.
Maninder had a question. Can we take that and then move? Is
Yeah,
it
sure.
possible?
Yeah.
Maninder says, as a coach, any specific steps we can take to bring this awareness?
Yeah. So yes, there are specific steps which are like, so for example, what I do is if I don't want to do constellation based coaching, I just simply ask them that, okay, so I ask questions around needs, that you are talking about this, you are feeling angry. So would you like to check, like, out of these 3 systemic needs, which of your need is not met? So safety, belongingness, and recognition. And invariably, one out of the 3 is not balanced. So then we ask, what are some of your needs that needs to be fulfilled so that you don't feel angry any longer? Or instead of anger, what would you prefer to feel in this situation? There is reframing of emotions. Yeah, I want to feel relieved, relaxed. But okay, so what are some of your needs out of these 3 need to be fulfilled and how these needs manifest? So safety in that sense, Somebody will be facing imposter syndrome. Somebody will be needing job assurance. Somebody will be needing recognition. Somebody needing my boss is excluding me. So out beyond, most of the answers will be somewhere in these three needs, and then you can pick up and ask some questions based on that further.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great. So last and very, very important point is about without guilt, there is no growth. So why that? I have a slide to share, but in the interest of time, I'm not sharing that. Just very simple. Okay, we are just talking about that slide talks about guilt as a resourceful emotion. Now, whatever system that you are a part of, there are systemic loyalties. Oh, should I share the slide? Okay, all right. All right, let me do that. Okay, so guilt as a resourceful emotion. So I am a part of, say, an organizational system. So I have a loyalty towards that system. And it is explained beautifully in that way. And whenever I want to come out of that system, there is a guilt that gets created. For example, and this is explained so beautifully by John Whittington. He says that, say, somebody is member of a terrorist organization. How people are willing to die by becoming a suicide bomber? Because of the indoctrination, systemic loyalty is so much ingrained into them that they start to, because I become a member, I am a part of the system, and I have a fear that if I leave that system, I will be aloof, I will be alone, I will be left out, I will be excluded, and tremendous guilt starts triggering. So guilt, grief, just remember this: guilt, grief, blame, and shame. These are very, very powerful emotions and very sticky emotions and not easy to go away. It takes some time or high amount of self-awareness and support to work on. But we are focusing only on guilt. So now what happens is that, say, I want to progress. I'm working in an organization. I'm just keeping that organizational context because of the time. So I'm working in an organization for last 10 years. I'm loyal to the organization, but what is my progress? 8%, 10%, 12%. I suddenly see that a friend of mine changed 4 jobs in last 10 years, and he is at 3x of my salary, and is reportedly joining my organization as a senior vice president, where I'm currently maybe an assistant general manager. But because systemic pull is there, systemic loyalty is there, if I want to quit and take some risk and join somewhere else, if that is my goal, then I have to deal with my own guilt. I have to overcome huge guilt in order to grow. So Bert Hellinger says that without guilt, there is no growth. So which means that you have to respectfully exit that system, acknowledge the system's contribution, provide that respect and dignity, and then move. So once you move respectfully, the guilt will go away. But whenever you want to leave that system, there's a guilt. So without guilt, there is no growth is something, one more prompt for you to search on the internet and read more about it. It's very, very powerful. So how do you use guilt as a resourceful emotion? Sometimes people are in troubled relationships and they stay on because just they are so much loyal. And yes, Kalyan, it is fear of losing. So the moment I want to step out, even if I know that I'm in a toxic relationship, it is causing a lot pain to me, but I can't leave because guilt is pulling me back. So I have to consciously work on my guilt to grow. Okay. So this is such a deep subject. Maybe a whole day would be insufficient, but I mean mindful of your time, your precious time, and I just would like to share these resources. There are some books and also this website, Life Love Leadership. There are a lot of case studies, articles, and other stuff which is there, which you will find it useful to learn from. Okay, in case you've taken a screenshot or made a note of it, maybe then I can stop the screen share and we can go towards concluding the session. Yeah, so we are 2 minutes before our time. So thank you so much. I would like to really appreciate and express my gratitude for you to join today. Lovely interacting with you. And thank you for enduring for last 1.5 hours. And back to you, Shanti.
Thank you, Ujjwal. You can already see in the text chat how much people have gratitude for the session. I have immense gratitude for the generous sharing you've done, whether it be books or resources or links. Truly appreciate all the sharing and introducing us to this new thought related to coaching. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Shanti. Thank you, everyone. Lovely meeting you. And let's keep in touch I can mention my phone number also in case you want to get in touch to understand something more. Whatever is possible for me, happy to share. And in case we are not connected on LinkedIn, let's connect there as well. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Wishing you lovely rest of your evening and look forward to meeting you soon, someday, somewhere.
Thank you.
Pleasure,
Yeah.
pleasure.